Good afternoon, good evening to all of you, and we hope that some more are coming in. We'll be starting our webinar, Women Stand Against War and Violence, in a short while. Maybe just a few more minutes. Let's hope that the others who have confirmed to attend are coming in. Okay. So while we are waiting for some more of the participants to join us, um, we would like to acknowledge that the co-organizers of this webinar include the International Peace Bureau, the Myanmar Women Peace and Security Organization, Laban Kababaihan or Women Fight from Mindanao, Philippines, the Women Resource Network of Bangladesh, Stop the War Coalition Philippines, Buklod Women Empowerment from Olongapo, Philippines, International Institute for Research and Education, Manila, and also the organization from Nigeria. Okay. Okay. So maybe we can set that we will begin officially by 10 minutes after 6, no? And we hope that our speaker from Nigeria, Dr. Plangsat Bitrus Dayel, can come in because I was chatting with her earlier today, and they're having some internet disruption in the country. So anyway, I told her if she cannot email her PowerPoint, we hope that she can at least come and speak to us. Our other speakers from Israel, the Philippines, and Myanmar are already here. Again, I would like to welcome everyone who has joined our webinar for this morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening, to our participants who are coming from different parts of the world. Thank you for spending time. I know that everyone is busy. There is so much ongoing, especially among our women participants who are also hosting different activities for Women's Day and Women's Month. At no other time is it so urgent for women and people of the world to get together, because right now, as we are talking, people, women are being killed not only in Palestine, but in other parts of the world. So this evening, Philippine time, this evening, or at this moment, we are gathering people and speakers who will discuss the situation, not only about the violence that is being experienced by the women in their countries, but most of all, what they do to stand against war and violence. So this webinar is being held by the Peace Women Partners and our other partner organizations, because we want to give voices for women from the different countries to speak up and tell us what is happening to them. And at the same time, to say how the women are standing up to protect themselves against the violence, and also to take action to stop war in their different countries and communities. So before we proceed, I would just like to introduce myself. I'll be one of the co-facilitators. I'm Mercy Angeles, one of the founders of the Peace Women Partners, and also working as a management consultant of non-government organizations in the Philippines. I would also like to introduce my co-facilitator, Ms. Presi Tulipat from the UP University of the Philippines Diliman Gender and Development Office, and also a member of the National Council of Leaders of the Peace Women Partners. And I would like to encourage, I just show now in the chat box, Miss Kathleen from the the US, introducing herself. And I would encourage our participants, you can also name yourself, your organization, or where you're coming from. Because one of the limitations of a webinar like this is that we really cannot see each other face to face. However, it can be an advantage that we have somebody from the US or even from Israel, from Myanmar, talking with us, no? Because it will be very challenging to hold such a meeting face to face. Okay, now, so I would like to pass now our microphone to Ms. Presi Tulipat.
Yeah, good evening to everybody from everywhere. We will know what is this Peace Women Partners. No, it is an organization. We are an organization of educators, artists, professionals, and grassroots women who are working toward the vision of a world free from all forms of violence against women and all forms of wars. No. The PWP has organized already 2 international conferences on women, peace, and security. And also, we hold solidarity visits among women from member countries, especially Mindanao, Japan, South Korea. And it has an international council of leaders from Japan, South Korea, Australia, India, Nepal, Brazil, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Kenya, and the Philippines. So this is our way of expressing our advocacy towards a violence-free world. No, thank you, Mercy.
Yes. Thank you, Presi, for introducing the Peace Women Partners. And so now we are coming to the reason why we are all gathering here together. to hear our women resource speakers from different parts of the world to discuss what is happening in their country, as well as what the women and what they are doing to stand against the violence and war. Of course, for now, it is inevitable that the issue of the genocide that's happening in Palestine is in the minds of all peace-loving citizens of the world. And we are inviting now Dr. Ruchama Marton. She is from Israel, but her heart is with the Palestinians. As the founder of the Physicians for Human Rights Israel, which has been helping the medical needs of Palestinians since 1988. Dr. Marton is the recipient of several peace and human rights awards, including the Jonathan Mann Award for Global Health and Human Rights and the 2002 Right Livelihood Award, which is the Alternative Nobel Peace Prize. So I would like to give to you now, Dr. Ruchama.
Thank you, Mercy, for your kind words. And I'm so pleased to talk to my sisters from all over the world. And it's a great honor to participate in this webinar. Difficult times now in Israel-Palestine. And it's not easy to talk about it, but I'll do my best, I'll try. Hatred in these days of war between Israel and Gaza Strip is the common and dominant emotion. Hatred is usually derived from fear, anger, or a sense of injury. Hatred contains the desire to harm or even to annihilate the hated person. The emotion of hate may remove moral barriers with respect to the hated object and give permission to apply all measures against the said object, even if those measures are violent or lethal. Hatred prevails between Jews and Palestinians, but hatred and discrimination, especially against women, exist in both groups. Then came October 7th and brought the obsessive preoccupation with the rape of Israeli women that took over and became a major motive for revenge against the Palestinians. The revenge emotion is an attempt to restore the honor of the Jewish men who failed to protect the bodies of women who were supposed to be under their protection. Those men who see the women's body and womb as part of their exclusive property, which take them with avenging the honor of patriarchy, which has trampled by the Hamas men. These armed men marked the women's body as a weak point, the purpose of humiliate, terrorize, and control their victims. But from a feminist point of view, this is a serious regression. All of feminism and the struggle for women's rights has returned and been reduced to the thing that we thought so very hard to free women from, the women body. Sorry. the women's body and her sexuality have been again become a battle in the national war. We feminists explain to the world that a woman is a complete and holistic being, which includes sexual identity, body, thoughts, behavior, education, social, family, and political status. Everything is relevant and included in the liberation movement. The dominant discourse in the Israeli society is of love of the homeland. This creates a conflict between love of my homeland and my love for my children as a mother and my concern for their life and well-being. There is a silencing of the female voice, which supports dialogue and attempts to reach agreement. Recently, many women who are feminists and support peace feel threatened by hostile and violent posts against them and refrain from publishing in social networks and demonstrating outside. In bombed Gaza, women are forced to give birth among the ruins with no medical support and with no protection. There are approximately 50,000 pregnant women in Gaza Strip, maybe more. There is no place in the hospitals that are working far beyond capacity due to all those wounded by the bombings. Caesarean sections are performed without anesthesia and without sanitary conditions. This greatly increases the danger of infection and complication. There is an increase in miscarriages, stillbirth, and early births. In recent weeks, we have seen evidence of mothers looking for something to feed their hungry children, which is awful. But not everything is dark and hopeless. I would like to end my talk to you quoting a woman, Samah Salaima, an Israeli Palestinian feminist. She's a great woman. I'm quoting, "I am proud to be part of a collective of radical feminist women, Arab and Jews, who conduct this courageous discourse about women and war, dark militarism versus enlightened and inclusive feminism. I see in many places women's circles who are ready and dare to talk about the horrors that women go through in Gaza, and in the same breath do not give up on the 19 abductees and do not forget the Israeli victims of October 7th. I see mental health workers, most of them are women, coming together to talk about the trauma, orphanhood, and the situation of children in Gaza, and countless small initiatives of flashes of healthy humanity, of feminism that is based on compassion, empathy, solidarity, and sisterhood. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, dear Dr. Ruchama. You are very right that in the face of so much hatred that's happening of course, not only in Israel and Palestine, but in other parts of the world too, the compassion, the dedication of the women is an important step to lessen this hatred and anger. And we're all calling, of course, on other women and brothers also who are not still active in the struggle to end war and violence to continue to join us. And now we are going to move our discussion to another part of the world. Well, sorry. My God, I'm sorry about that. Ah, wait. Our next speaker. Ah, I, sorry, no. Our next speaker is from Myanmar. And she's going to share with us what is also happening now with the crisis in Myanmar that has been ongoing for so many years since the declaration of the military junta. So I introduce to you now Angeline, who is a woman human rights defender and an educator who has 29 working years of experiences and has been working for women's rights in Myanmar for a decade. So let us welcome now Angeline.
Thank you, Mercy. Can you hear me very well? Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
you're
yeah,
clear.
actually, my colleague Namtulin, she's supposed to be the speaker, but unfortunately, she has some issue, and I'm replacing her. And I'm having some points to present here, and it will be maybe a lot of information, but if you're not clear, we can discuss more. And I'm talking about women and girls standing up against war and violence in Myanmar. On behalf of Myanmar Women, Peace and Security, I'm currently serving as chair for my terms, and I'm here going to start my presentation. So in Myanmar, as you know, we have our coup, military coup in 1st February 2021. And from the one set of political and revival in Myanmar, women have been in the forefront of resisting the military attempt takeover by force. Their unwavering commitment to democracy and human rights has manifested in various forms of peaceful protests and activism. Despite of the reduction in global media attention, Myanmar crisis persists, with women continue to play a crucial role in resistance, the support of affected communities. The documents outline, I'm going to say more about regarding involvement of women and girls standing up against war and violence in Myanmar, highlighting their resilience, strategies, and contribution to humanitarian efforts and pro-democracy movement. After the beginning of the coup, women in Myanmar led the change against the military coup, organized peaceful protests on the street, leading strike group and coordinating flash mobs. A women coalition called Women Advocacy Coalition Myanmar was born out in early hours of the coup to counter collectively the political crisis lines ahead. There are other like-minded women groups and networks were born too. They engaged in written advocacy, crafting open and closed letters to draw international attention to their cause, successfully placing the pro-democracy movement in the global media spotlight. Despite the shift of media focus, rendering our situation in forgotten crisis, the resolve of Myanmar women has not wavered. Their ongoing initiative continue to deserve global recognition and support by sadly, we are not getting anymore. It's kind of lack of attention because in the globe there are many issues across the world. But in Myanmar, I just would like to highlight According to Burmese Women Union, in February 2024, there are 3,332 arrested, 806 killed, 781 imprisoned since the failed coup. All the women they have sacrificed, and according to the UN 2023 data, 68% of women don't feel safe to walk around in the area they live, and 35% of women are not safe at their home at night. Women experience lack of medical and maternity care. There are 2.8 million IDP, according to UNHCR, and majority are women and children. Women are not able to get contraceptive pills and injection due to active war and conflict, and they have to deliver babies in jungle. Recently, last month, the new forced conscription laws enacted by the gender and the high threat, it's like the high threat to young women age of 18 and 27. Mothers of ages 18 to 35 are worrying and crying for their sons because hunters started to collect the name list for recruitment process. In adapting challenges faced in violence crackdown, targeting protesters, activists, and women human rights defenders, Myanmar women demonstrated remarkable agility and dynamism. They adjusted their tactic by enhancing security measures, undergoing digital security training, and developing relocation plans for high risks. They have been instrumental in fundraising effort to facilitate the relocation those most at risk, showcasing their adaptability and determination to protect human rights at all costs. In response of the military terror campaign and nationwide attacks on civilians, women rights organizations step up as active humanitarian actors. These organizations have been crucial in delivering aid, including food, dignity kits, maternity materials, directly to communities affected by violence, often crossing active conflict zones to reach those in need. Utilizing early warning systems to the best of their ability, these women have sometimes succeeded in saving lives by altering communities in impending dangers through not without facing failure and losses of life. Humanitarian actors are killed by military too. 3 years into the crisis, Myanmar women refused to let the military govern their lives. Many continue to join in nonviolent civil disobedience movement by refusing to work under military control ministries. Some quitted their jobs and prestige to become a vegetable vendors and low-skills worker. Yet, these CDM doctors and teachers have been actively involved in providing education for displaced population and delivering health services under challenging circumstances. Many women leaders and educators are engaging with the ethnic education system to provide skills building and business development courses and the like. They were done against the backdrop of the fierce airstrike and mortar shelling. Women groups are also focusing on education, revolutionary forces about the importance of respecting international and humanitarian law, highlighting their commitments to justice and human rights. This is done with the purpose of preventing violence extremism, showcasing the zero tolerance to sexual conflict-related sexual violence, making security sector personal to uphold human rights standards and informing them what constitute war crime and crime against humanity. In the face of increasing incident and conflict-affected sexual violence, women are leveraging their limited resources and networks to rescue survivors, facilitating across the referral system for necessary support and justice. Women in Myanmar are playing a pivotal roles in the nation-building process, contributing significantly toward the realization of genuine peace. They were being actively involved in the development of Charter, a cornerstone document that outlines guideline principle and reframes the nation's principle, values, and aspirations. This involvement extends to the resistance movement, where the Charter serves as a fundamental framework. Furthermore, women are at the forefront of advancing the gender equality and non-discrimination of gender minorities and ethnic nationalities, a gender with emerging governance structures and institutions. Their contribution include drafting gender policy and providing unwavering support for initiated focus on women, peace, and security. These efforts are instrumental in promoting gender inclusion across Myanmar governance organization. Moreover, women groups are shaping financial policy and enhance the integrity and transparency of ethnic governance system and institution. Though these action, women in Myanmar are not only bolstering the nation's journeys toward peace, democracy, and federalism, but also ensuring the incorporation of gender equality in the fabric of our nation design. In conclusion, the resilience, commitment, and courage of Myanmar women and girls in the face of severe adversity and extremity, they are not mere victims of the war. They are survivor. We are survivor and change maker. Their contribution ranging from leading peaceful protests to providing crucial humanitarian aids and advocating for human rights demonstrate their pivotal roles of ongoing struggle and democracy, peace in Myanmar. Despite being overlooked by global and regional media, their effort and initiative continue to make significant impacts on the ground. It is imperative that international community acknowledge, supports, and amplify the voices of action of those brave women and girls, ensuring they are not forgotten and that their fights for freedom and justice is recognized and supported worldwide. So I truly thank you for giving us a space to share with what have been happening in Myanmar and the role of brave women, girls, and gender minorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Angeline. It is sad to hear the ongoing, continuous oppression that women and children in Myanmar are experiencing. But it is most heartening to hear the actions that are being taken by you and the other women and citizens in Myanmar. And we hope that the participants who are joining us here at this moment from different countries will be able to also relate your experiences to the others, because unfortunately, media, especially the mainstream media, is very biased, and they're not even reporting the real events happening in Myanmar and other countries. That is why it is us, the women and concerned citizens, who need to stand up for each other. Okay, so thank you. Angeline will be here to answer any more questions during our open forum. Thank you, Angeline. So now I would like to pass on to Presi to introduce Dr. Plangsat. However, I'm not sure that Dr. Plangsat is here yet. Dr. Plangsat, Dayil earlier sent a message that she's having problems with internet there in Nigeria. So if Plangsat is not yet here, Presi, maybe we can have Attorney Virgie Suarez next.
Oh,
Is that
yes,
okay?
Yeah, we'll call on our next reactor. Yeah,
No,
Attorney
speaker.
Speaker, yeah, Speaker, Attorney Virgie Laksa Suarez. Ayan. Attorney Suarez is a feminist lawyer who has handled and won landmark cases on rape in the Philippines. She is also the national chairperson of Kaisa Ka, Unity of Women for Freedom, and convener and spokesperson of Stop the War Coalition Philippines. So let us welcome our speaker, Attorney Virgie Laksa Suarez.
Mm-mm.
Thank
Good day to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'll speak on behalf of Kaisaka and as also on behalf of the Stop the War Coalition Philippines. We, the Filipino women, we stand against war and violence against women. Now, to date, the Philippines has the highest number of survivors of the most cruel and dehumanizing war crime against women, the sex slave system by the Japanese imperial soldiers during the World War II, our Malaya Lolas. But after 80 years, justice remains elusive and dim because Japan continued to deny this war crime with clear attempts to erase this from its own history. Looking back, the battle for the liberation of Manila is considered the bloodiest war in the Philippine history. And the Philippines was attacked by Japan to prevent the US from making the Philippines as US springboard against Japan at that time. The largest war also in the Philippines is the Phil-American War that dates back during the Philippine Revolution. The bloodiest part at this time was the Budaho, where tens of thousands Muslims were killed. The Philippine-US relationship since 1902 is a relationship of deception and occupation. The biggest US base outside its territory was in the Philippines, and even put up the Philippine Military Academy. Thus, our very own soldiers are trained under the mentorship of US. After the World War II came the Military Bases Agreement and the Mutual Defense Treaty. Since then, the Filipino women have been used by the US under its rest and recreations policy for its soldiers. During all this the effectivity of Military Bases Agreement, many young women suffered, raped, and killed, but no case has ever been filed. While the Military Bases Agreement was terminated in 1991, the next year, 1992, US forces remained in the Philippines through different military access agreements using the Mutual Defense Treaty. US would never leave Philippines. In 1998, the Visiting Forces Agreement was entered into or imposed by US. This is a one-sided, lopsided agreement as it provides protection and privilege only to US soldiers. The Filipino people, especially the women, rallied against the VFA, especially when a woman, Nicole, was raped by the US soldier who was present here because of the Balikatan exercises, and the rape happened during the soldiers' rest and recreation. Unfortunately, our very own Supreme Court ruled that the VFA is the implementing rule of the Mutual Defense Treaty. Only in the Philippines, where the treaty has an implementing rule passed after 50 years. In 2010, US declared its defense policy of pivot to Asia Pacific, looking at China as an emerging power. Consistent to it, the Philippines and Australia entered into a SOPA. We know that Australia is a very close ally of US. In 2014, the VFA was put to test in the case of Jennifer Laude, who was killed by US Marine under the Balikatan exercise then and again during the soldiers' R&R, or rest and recreation. This time, women organizations led by Kaisaka, and the many LGBT groups and the many other progressive organizations like Kilusan rallied behind the family. And for the very first time, a US soldier was charged, convicted, and incarcerated. He was convicted for 10 years, but was pardoned after 5 years during the Duterte administration. But because there is no more military bases agreement, the US now looking at China as an emerging power with its large territory and market, and to enhance its own defense against China, US imposed upon the Philippine government the so-called EDCA, or the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement with the Philippines in 2014. From the 5 identified EDCA sites, it was recently increased to 9. US presence is in every war, conflict, and intervention around the world. The increased presence of US military forces in the Philippines undermines our sovereignty and places the Philippines at a higher risk, placing the Philippines in a dependent position, potentially compromising our autonomy in foreign policy and national security matters. The overt presence of US military might on the Philippine soil renders the Philippines a strategic target in the event of escalated conflicts, thus jeopardizing rather than safeguarding their national and regional security. Worse, this administration is under negotiation to enter into a VFA-like agreement with another US ally, Japan. It is a defense pact called Reciprocal Access Agreement. This, despite the fact that Japan remains to deny justice to our lolas, to the comfort women's. Worse, the Philippines even entered into a memorandum of understanding with another US allies, UK and Canada, all under the pretext of protecting the Philippines against China in the dispute in West Philippine Sea. With UK, the intent of defense engagement is for the next 5 years across a range of areas, including the military exercises, training, and modernization efforts with focus on the maritime domain, the exclusive economic zone, hydrography, and participation in future military exercises. With Canada, the Defense Pact is focused on Philippines and Canadian cooperation on military education, training exchanges, information sharing, and peacekeeping operations. These are the same US allies supporting Israel's genocide of Palestine. We do not want another generation of Malaya Lolas, of comfort women. We do not want another Nicole. We do not want another Jennifer Laude. And the Filipino women stand by the Palestinian women, believing that violence committed against a woman, wherever she is a violence against all women. With total impunity bolstered by billions of dollars of US aid, Israel's genocidal actions in Palestine have killed more than 30,000 Palestinians, where more than 8,000 are women. Palestinian women may survive the bombs, but they face starvation, displacement, failing health services, lack of water, and basic necessities, while they need to feed and care for their children and bury their dead. Women bear the brunt of the war. There are approximately 60,000 Palestinian women who are going through their pregnancies without proper health care as they suffer from dehydration and malnutrition. About 5,000 women are still giving birth every month in the territory in conditions that were harsh, unsafe, and unhealthy. Women are forced to give birth among the ruins with no medical support and with no protection. Cesarean sections are performed without anesthesia and without sanitary conditions. This greatly increases the danger of infections and complications. There is an increase in the miscarriages, stillbirths, and early births. Mothers grieve over the loss of multiple children, witnessing as they are maimed and gravely injured or not knowing their whereabouts. For all of us who are against war and militarization, against colonialism, apartheid, against subjugation and occupation, intrusion and intervention, racism and genocide, it is time for all of us to stand with the women of Palestine and call for immediate ceasefire and end the genocide in Palestine perpetuated by Israel, the US, and its allies. Women are essential to both the social and cultural reproduction of society and struggle, as well as the reproduction of life itself. Thus, in Palestine, women are the focus of Israel's genocidal policies of war and oppression to drive the Palestinian people from their homeland. It goes after youngsters in an attempt to destroy the Palestinians' people's future. These are calculated strategies designed to intimidate and traumatize people in abandoning their country of origin, to scare women, and to degrade and impair a person's capacity to heal and rebuild themselves. The Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories is illegal and reinforces patriarchal structures that marginalize and oppress Palestinian women. Thus, it is women who bear the brunt of fighting. They are the majority of refugees charged with keeping dependents safe, fed, and sheltered. Even sexual violence is redoubled in war. This 75-year-old Israel systemic ethnic cleansing and apartheid has allowed unrestricted authority to oppress, dispossess, displace, colonize, and occupy Palestine, the Palestinian people, the women and children who have led to the murderous horrors in Gaza. Rather than to hold Israel accountable, even Western governments such as US, UK, are willing to bury the entire body of international law beneath the wreckage of Gaza along with the Palestinian people. We stand with the rest of the world in pushing for the cessation of hostilities. Let us exert more pressure to stop armed support to Israel and move our own administration, the Marcos government, to act per the instructions of the World Court to prevent and penalize acts of genocide, call for an immediate ceasefire, demand to open up more routes for food aid, as well as demand that Israel allow more humanitarian assistance to the people of Palestine. As we stand in support and call for the end to the sufferings of the women of Palestine and all Filipino women who suffered and continue to suffer the brunt of wars and militarizations here in the Philippines, we also recognize the women's strength in facing extreme hardships brought by war and violence against them. The women of Palestine and the Filipino women shall continue the resistance and lead the survival of the people. We shall work for a world where women are part of the peace building and recovery process. We, the Stop the War Coalition Philippines, stand with the women of Palestine, the Philippines, and all women of the world to end the war and all forms of violence against women. We call on the Philippine government to terminate the VFA, the Visiting Forces Agreement, and the Mutual Defense Treaty, to provide immediate humanitarian assistance to the communities and the displaced, and to build peace in the affected areas. We demand that Israel implement an immediate and unconditional ceasefire to facilitate safe zones for the distribution and aid of aid, especially for the women and children. We demand for Israel to end the siege of Gaza and the occupation of Palestine. We demand that US stop its support to the genocide of Israel and Palestine. So, for all of us here, let us all stand against violence, against war. Thank you.
Very well said, attorney, and the historical context is very clear, no? And the demands are, of course, logical, no? So, we will go now to our reactors. Mers?
Yes, Okay, can you see the screen? Introducing Miss Goldie. Is the screen shared? Uh, uh, Thank you. First of all, thank you, Virgie. You have a very succinctly summarized the issues not only in the Philippines, but all over the world that we are encountering. And you have acknowledged, you have recognized that the US support to the oppressors in different countries, including Israel, also Myanmar, the Philippine government, and other countries. The US support is bolstering the war and aggression. And now let us hear from our panelist, Ms. Goldie Amada Omelio, a young woman leader from Mindanao. Her organization is Laban Kababaihan. Well, it's loosely translated. I know it's an acronym, but loosely translated, it's Women Fight. In Mindanao, Philippines, where mining, marginalization of indigenous peoples, armed conflict, migration of women, and the culture of impunity and silence are among the prominent issues. So let us hear from Ms. Goldie Omelio.
Thank you, Mercy, and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, no, to everyone who is here. I hope I'm audible, no?
Okay,
So
your sound is
yeah,
good.
yeah, thanks. So once again, I'm Goldie Omelio, and I'm currently based in Cotabato City. So it's part of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, na in the southern part of the Philippines. And thank you once again for inviting Laban Kababaihan to take part in this important discussion, no, among women. We believe that there's a similarity of struggles of the Palestinian people, of the Burmese people, and of the people in located in the Bangsamoro region. No, as everybody knows, maybe is that the Bangsamoro region became a new political entity in 2019 as a result of the peace negotiation between the Republic of the Philippines and of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. The Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, represents the demands of the Bangsamoro people, no, or those Muslims or Islamized population. But of course, before reaching this kind of development, no, there are different areas in the region that experienced multiple airstrikes and militarization that killed hundreds of lives, including women and children, and displaced thousands of families. But closing the peace negotiation in 2019 with a new political entity doesn't mean actually that there's already peace, no, that the region is already free from armed conflicts and violence. Because like for 1 year, just last year in the Bangsamoro region, there had been 34 armed conflict incidents from known armed groups, no, and there are also 34 incidents from armed non-state actors, and even the clan feud cases. No, there are 274 clan feud cases, of which 174 still remain unsettled as of now. And from September 2023 to February 2024, actually, there are the armed encounters between the government forces and the non-state armed groups, and even between the non-state armed groups in several municipalities in Maguindanao province, in one of the provinces of BARM, of the Bangsamoro region. It caused multiple displacements to 43,200 population. No, and even the armed conflict between the forces of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and non-Moro Islamic Liberation Front due to land conflict even resulted to the displacement of 8,000 population in the province of Cotabato. And the current transition does not also equate to smooth transition, no? Because for now, like there's been a question in terms of the development framework of the Bangsamoro region, no? Especially that there are mineral reserves, or it is rich. The region is rich in minerals, and one of the areas that is rich in mineral is part of the ancestral domain claim of the indigenous people in the Bangsamoro region. And it is very notable that the indigenous people, indigenous women, no, in the Bangsamoro region really take the lead in consolidating the voices of the indigenous people's communities regarding their demands and their demands to right to self-determination within the autonomous region, no? Especially that they position themselves against mining, no? And also because there's an upcoming parliamentary election in 2025. So everybody's super busy with the preparation of the election, and there's a lot of killings also in the local areas, especially in the areas where I'm staying. No, shootings and killings every month, about 3 to 4 incidences every month. And we think that and other human rights groups here also in the city thinks that easing the civilian gun ownership will complicate things even more, no, especially that the parliamentary election in 2025 is coming. And even now that the gun ownership of the civilians is not regulated, there's a lot of killings. So how much more if there's a if they allowed civilians to own a semi-automatic gun, no? So this will even complicate, because especially that there are activists and human rights defenders also face threats, harassments, and even murdered. No, they are even murdered, and there are cases of recorded cases of more than 50 indigenous people, indigenous leaders, no, including women who were murdered, no, those who are really very vocal in standing for their rights. So I think it is also very important in addressing the hatred among women, especially what Dr. Rukama mentioned, that there's been hatred among Palestinian and Israeli women. And for us, it is very important how we women build and strengthen our solidarity among us, no, regardless of religion and tribe. And especially that the issue of armed conflict is an issue of all women, no? Not only of the indigenous women, not only of Bangsamoro women, but all women. The issue of mineral extraction and displacement is an issue of all women. That's why we also women from the women in Mindanao are in solidarity with all the Palestinian women, with all the Burmese women, all the Filipino women who keeps on struggling every day against war and violence. So we take part, and we are one with women who are against violence and war. Thank you, and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Goldie. Oo. That was heartwarming to hear that the even IP women are leading the peace building efforts in the area. Now we will introduce another reactor from Bangladesh. Farida Akhtar is the chairperson of Narigrantra Prabartana, or the Women Resource Center of Bangladesh. She has been an activist in the women's movement on environmental and ecological justice, and a regular column writer in newspapers in Bangladesh, and has written several books in Bangladesh, no, in English. So let us welcome a very long-time feminist, Miss Farida Akhtar from Bangladesh.
Thank you, Mercy, for inviting me. Although I was very much planning to listen to everybody, and it was really very heartening to hear what Virji was talking about, Goldie was talking about, and Dr. Rukama, of course. So these are very, very important issues that we, as feminists around the world, should join our hands all the time to express our solidarity. Today, you know, it's Ramadan is going on in the Muslim world, and in Palestine, people are fasting without. They are fasting, you know, all along. Actually, they have no food. But in fact, I have been seeing some pictures which shows that they are really breaking their fast with almost nothing, even like grass juice or something. So everything is destroyed, you know. So it's not only bombing and destroying the buildings, it's, you know, destroying the food sources. And we have heard about how women are affected, you know, severely. As Dr. Rukama, you know, even last time she was talking about the cesarean section operations without anesthesia. It's really, every word of that sentence, you know, hurts our, it goes into our heart. So I begin with expressing our solidarity and also paying respect to Dr. Rukama Martin. People like her are very much important at this moment to be with us. And also when we hear about stories from Philippines, Mindanao, and in Myanmar, you know, the Myanmar stories are also very, very, very sad, you know. In fact, we are having several million Rohingyas from Myanmar, which is part of the ethnic cleansing of Myanmar military junta. So those are very, we are seeing in our neighborhood. So what is happening in Bangladesh at present in reaction to Palestine, genocide? I want to really urge upon everybody to say that let's call upon everybody to follow the International Court of Justice, where the South African government has, been said petition, and there is already a verdict which says plausible human rights violation of Israel. So they are not even stopping after that. So, this thing is, I also want to add that in Palestine, the Israelis are not only killing people, but also destroying their livelihood by destroying the olive trees. Olive is, and Dr. Rukama must agree with me, you know, that olive is a very important source of livelihood in Palestine, as far as I'm getting information. So 800,000 trees have been already destroyed, and more are destroying. And from October onwards, when it is the harvesting season of the olives, they did not let the olive farmers to go into their gardens and harvest their olives. So this is terrible, just not only killing physically, killing your future, you're killing your food sources, killing your livelihood. So and also it's part of their culture. So this is what we feel about Palestine, is that this religious nationalism, we want to be very clear that we are not anti-Semitic. We are anti-Zionist, definitely. And so to be anti-Zionist is not anti-Semitic. So, and so we have to be very clear about that. So for example, in Bangladesh, we feel that for our Chittagong Hill tribes, who have different language, a different culture, our government talks, and even our constitution says it is Bengali nationalism. But by saying that, they already discard the rights of the Chittagong Hill tribes indigenous peoples' rights to the country. So this kind of things are happening everywhere in different ways. In Bangladesh, as a reaction to Palestine genocide, there is a call for boycott of products of all the companies who support Israel, like Nestle, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and it is having a tremendous impact. People are not buying as they know that this is what they are supporting. I heard that some Coca-Cola plants had to close their factories because they don't have enough market now, and some other national companies are now producing some products saying with a sticker on it saying that 1% of our earnings will go to Palestine for their support. So people then immediately buy those things. So this means that it's in the common people's heart that they want to support, to be with Palestinians. We can't do much, when we see the pictures of these little children, either dead bodies on the lap of the father or mother, or the children crying with rubble coming out of the rubbles. It really breaks our heart. So I think we cannot support a Zionist settler colonial state of Israel. And as women, feminists, we are life affirming, we support life affirming politics. We cannot support life destroying politics. So that's all I have to say. That I'm thankful to Mercy and Cora and our friends in PWP who invited me and to organize such an event where we are able to talk about these things. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rukama
Thank you.
Martin, because that's your presence really inspires us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Farida. We will go now to the question and answer portion. First.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I just like to announce first, Farid, Dr. Plangsat Dayil from Nigeria was able to send a message earlier in Facebook that there seems to have been an attack by the Boko Haram on the internet system. Well, I don't know if it's nationwide, but definitely in the area where Plangsat is, there is no internet and she's no longer online as of 5 p.m. today. So anyway, we can continue our discussion I know that it's already very heavy for the feelings of most of us or all of us. Because, well, of course, violence in any form is inhuman and should not be tolerated. But we know that is happening, and it's not even it's not even being given a voice. That's why it's very important that our speakers today, Dr. Rukama, Angeline, Attorney Virgie, Goldie, and Farida, are discoursing on these issues, which you cannot hear about from the mainstream media, definitely. Well, actually, before we go to the open forum, I prepared to share with you the discussion of Stop the War Coalition, but I'm very glad that Attorney Virgie has already covered some of the issues. So maybe we don't need to go over the statement of Stop the War Coalition Philippines. Although Cora, if you want, you can provide the link to our chat group so that people can access the statement of Stop the War Coalition. Okay. So for now, let's open our discussion to the, well, open forum. And we're opening now the floor to any member, any participant in this group who would also like to be asking questions. But since we have some time, you can also share what's happening in your community, in your country. And it's good that this discussion is being recorded. So we could also have a documentation of the different very important messages that have been shared with us today. Okay. So you could write in the chat box, or you could just raise your hand and speak. Okay.
Mercy, could you just close
Okay.
screen share?
Mhm. And maybe a suggestion also, before we part ways this morning, noontime, and evening, can we have like a screenshot of the whole group? Is that possible? So that, you know, and for those who have their video off, maybe for a few seconds, you can open. Is that okay, Cora, to take a screenshot of the group?
Sure.
So
So
you'll be the one to do it.
flash your best
Please,
smile.
yeah. Please open your videos.
Let me see. Okay, let's all have everyone. We have other friends who have not opened their, oh my goodness. Why is that? Can you can you please close the share screen, Mercy?
Am I still share screen? Oh, sorry.
No,
No,
you
no, it's
have
closed.
pinged the speaker. You have to unping the speakers, I think.
I didn't. Huh? What happened? I didn't pin anyone. Did I?
Sorry.
Okay,
Okay.
maybe we can choose.
Okay, why is that? Something is wrong. Somebody else have to grab the because I'm having difficulty
Putting
screen.
everyone in one.
No. Everyone is here, but when I make the screen grab, it does not work. First time.
Or maybe a screenshot?
Yeah, that's
But
the
depends
one
on-
that does not work right
Mhm.
now. So let me just do it manually.
technology.
One more. Yeah, the others have closed their screen, but thank you so much. Let me try again.
Please
If-
open again your video for a few seconds.
No, it doesn't work this time. I'm sorry. But I have,
I'd
I
like to
have,
help you, but I do not know how.
yeah,
Me too.
I can't. My screen grab does not work at this time. I don't know why. First time that this is happening.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Okay.
oh, Andre, would you like to screen grab?
Oh, well, I see Kathleen had her hand up first.
Ah.
It's okay. And then just email to us.
Yeah, but I have the photo already. Would you like to
But-
screen grab, Kathleen?
Please open the videos again. It's nice to see faces, no? Especially of people who we know are all working with us on this very important concern, this human concern of ending the violence that's happening in our world. So all the people who spend their time here tonight, no, we're all one and united on this issue. And
Okay.
I hope we will see each other again. Okay. Okay, so did anybody get the screenshot? So I'm also not tech savvy. So then we will have to continue. At least there's still time. There's so many important points that we could discuss before our meeting tonight ends. And maybe of course, it's not only problems that we are discussing, but also possible courses of action, or maybe share with us what you're already doing and what you think we can all do together as a group, you know? There are many organizations, very important national
World
and local
Water-
organizations who are
World
present
Water
in
Day.
this discussion. So, okay, is somebody raising their hand to share or ask a question? Or there's no chat message yet? Any
Kathleen
sharing?
is raising her hand.
Okay, please, Kathleen, take
Yes.
the floor, the mic.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel very shy to do this. It's beautiful, all of you speaking from around the world, and I'm really happy that so many of you have pointed out that the center of this violent system that is hurting so many people everywhere is right here where I live in the US. I'm only 100 miles from the capital of the US. And me and my friends are working in the best ways we know to fight against this system. And I'm getting ideas from you all. Thank you. And I really want to be in solidarity with you. A lot of us here want to be in solidarity with you. So thank you so much. And I wrote in the chat about one of the ideas that some of us are pursuing, which is that we are, I mean, it doesn't sound realistic or anything, but some of us are asking our legislators to please go as human shields into Gaza. Stand in front of the children. Stand between the people and these weapons that our country keeps sending. And they may not do it, but they may do it. They are human beings. They could do it. They are high profile enough to do it if they get together and do it together. Some of them are people of good hearts. They are human beings and they have the power to do it. It would end the genocide. It would have the potential to end the arms industry, I think. But other ideas that anybody from around the world has, we in the US want to help. If there's some way really can't. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Kathleen. We are with you. And thanks for also for being with us, you know. Maybe that's a practical idea that you have. What do you think about it, Rukama? Or anybody else will also like to give sharing reaction while we have the time and we are gathered here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathleen,
Mhm.
for
Now, yeah,
your
Angeline.
talks and sharing. Yeah, may I say thank you? And American has been supporting our democracy movement along the way, and we appreciate all the encouragement mentally, and even like USA helping us like financially. But it's not enough in the sense of other, action like governments as a states and as a embassy and as a international actors, to have sanction against the government we don't say a government sanction against the junta not selling the fuel, because everyday bombing and shelling, because they can get assistance from outside, they can purchase everything easily from outside. If the junta have enough sanction that they can assist to kill the people and to make fight each other. Now they are having recruitments for the youths 18 to 35 to recruit for their hunter group to fight against the minorities, the ethnics, the Rohingya, and the public. This action, please make the government knows, and please take action as you can. Please make awareness and help us. Thank you so much.
Andre was also raising his hand. Andre, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you. It's wonderful to see and meet you ladies and women. I've been very fortunate to network with women leaders from around the world and promoting a movement of nonviolence. That nonviolence is the element to unite the whole world. All the peace movements, all the religions and spiritual organizations, all the mayors and community leaders, everyone's trying to stop violence. As Kathleen showed, everyone's afraid right now with the wars going on and what's happening in the world. My own friends are worried and afraid. So I think that I'm very lucky, and I think we have an amazing opportunity right now because of the war in Gaza. And the calls for the global calls for a ceasefire are synonymous, the same as calls for no violence or non-violence. So it's a perfect time to unite. We will never get another opportunity like this. The whole world sees what this violence and war is doing. So I've been proposing a new global peace movement led by women, but not exclusive to women. We need everyone. We need all the experts in the peace movement, anti-nuclear movement, human rights movement. But if we can all unite under one umbrella, then it creates political clout to stop the wars. So I come from a business background. I've tried to use my knowledge in business to create the means for women to operate. So I have a business plan with the funding, a marketing plan, and the team for administration. And the women leaders would become the envoys to all the governments, the lobbyists, because it is political. And that's where the power is, because the women and men in a people movement would be the backup for the women leaders to give them the support. So I'd love to meet with you. I thank you, Mercy. Nice to meet you. Salamat. And Kaizaka, thank you. So I'd love to speak with you and talk to you about the status.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Surely we will hear more from you about your plan. We need more ideas, more plans, because although there's a lot which people are doing, but still we need to try out something more. And now, Virgie, you would like to say something too?
Yes. Yes. Kathleen, Sheldon, thank you so much for being with us, knowing that there are Americans like you who are standing against the U.S., standing against all these imperialist wars being initiated and funded, supported by U.S. Thank you so much. We know that all these wars, there are no other reason for wars but the occupation of land, the occupation of wealth, and always it goes with it, the occupation of women bodies. All these impacts of war to women, the oppression, the violence, these are all the more making the women stronger, braver, more courageous, and resilient. These enrage us, but the same thing that enrage us is also making us to continue to resist. So despite all this, we shall continue to rage and resist. Thank you to all these women. Yes, let us all stand together against all imperialist war and stand together with the Palestinians. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Virgie. Now, I would also like to acknowledge we have friends from Japan, Hisae and Akiko. Would you also like to share anything? I know you're very active in the anti-nuclear and peace movement. Akiko, Hisae, they connect. Anyway, when you're ready, just raise your hand, Hisae or Akiko. Before we close, there is Hisae now. Welcome to the group, Hisae. Please unmute. We cannot hear you.
Your microphone is okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Dai Ogawa. I live in Osaka, Japan, and I in the past I visited the Philippines several times, to join your action movement. And today I'm very happy that finally I joined and talked to you all. And I really was so impressed with all the presentations you made. And so, and when, Japan, so we have many, and Japanese government are really following America's war, and so we are really protesting what our government is doing, and the Japanese people are really so determined to fight back in a non-violent way, in any way, and so currently what we're doing is Gaza, in the issue of Gaza, some group are trying to organize pilgrimage from you know, so for 40 kilometers of pilgrimage in Osaka, through Osaka, because to gather from the north to the south is about 40 kilometers. So our group is really trying to walk through Osaka and appealing no war and stop ceasefire in Gaza. That one group is doing like that, and many women's group and peace groups, you know, they're having many standing and march through Osaka Avenue and appealing the people, no war and ceasefire. And Akiko is really active and she's joining many protest actions like that. And also, you know, the issue of no nukes, many groups are really working very hard. And one action I recently joined was the women, mostly women's gathered in the temple in Kyoto, a very famous temple, Kiyomizu Temple, and so the groups gathered in Kiyomizu in Kyoto were many from America, and they also called the action Hiroshima Nagasaki pilgrimage. So they came to Japan, and they are traveling. You know, they are visiting Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they are. And I was very impressed by one action, and she was from Kansas City, and she told us that Kansas City is really they are the producing or assembling the nuclear weapons in Kansas. So 85% of the weapons are now produced in Kansas, the factory in Kansas. And she was so shocked, and she protested, and she was arrested several times, but she's so determined. And so she came to, so now she decided to come to Hiroshima and Nagasaki to say sorry, and no nukes, no more Hiroshimas and no more Nagasaki's. So, and we all joined, and in that was the day when it was, you know, every 6th, and so A-bomb was dropped in Hiroshima on the 6th of August. The 6th is a very important day to make our action to let nukes, and the 9th is Nagasaki Day. So actually, the day we gathered was the 6th of August. I mean, not August. I mean, sorry, March. Yeah. So, but every month in Kiyomizu Temple, the particular temple, the peace groups of women's teachers in Kyoto, they are having this campaign to collect signatures for no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki. But now actually, you know, what they are doing is to collect signatures to push Japanese government to sign and join, you know, no nuke. Now the UN passed the resolution, and now it's the UN law, no prohibition of nuclear weapons, but the Japanese government is not ready at all to join this campaign. So we are pushing and collecting signatures to push our Japanese government. So that's what we are doing.
Yeah.
lately.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Hisae. And the march, the Japanese peace activists are really very uh, experienced in conducting marches. So aside from the march against the nukes, it's really a good idea. Please tell us more. If it will be done, you say the march for peace in Gaza. That would be a very important move. Bergie, you want to say something? I saw you raising your hand.
No. Uh-uh.
Yes. Mhm.
No.
Sige.
Mm,
At okay na?
Thank you.
But anyway,
Okay na.
I will,
Okay na.
yeah, but we will be asking all before we separate now, in a few minutes, we'll be asking all the speakers to just share a few points. But I would like to read what Kathleen wrote in the chat box. What would it take to spur on a BDS movement against the US? So yeah, you're right, no? Because the most of the arms that are being the bombs in the world that are being used all over the world are produced in the US. Any ideas on that, Rukama or anybody else?
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe for now it's too big for us to take on, but maybe we'll come to that. Start smaller first, though. Well, because we our time now for discussion is limited, but we could always continue these discussions, no? Because we are all networking together. I'm sure there will be venues for us to share more ideas because these are very important concerns that we're talking about now. And I just like to acknowledge Angeline. Yeah, I can understand how you're feeling that the mainstream and even other media are reporting very little about what's happening in Myanmar. That's why we who are in the alternative movements, no, in the alternative for providing the alternative information should help the women and the people of Myanmar. And there's a message from May. We should bring in the young women in the peace movement. Yes, we need more Goldie Omelios and younger women. That's true. That's very true. But I'm sure Kaisaka has many young members. Okay. It's really a challenge. There are so many challenges. The challenge coming from the US with all their money and all their bombs. And so also the challenges within the peace movement that many of us are aging and elderly, getting sick. And we have poor internet connection because I saw a lot of messages where people wanted to come in, but they have no signal. Including, of course, Plangsat, our supposed to be speaker from Nigeria. We have Catherine Kaimenyi here from Kenya, but it seems she's not ready to talk. However, I would like to tell you that they are discussing about an African women's webinar. So we'll just keep you informed if they push through with it. Maybe that's the better place where they can discuss all the issues of the African women. That's another very, very tragic story all about the femicide, the female genital mutilation, and what the Boko Haram in Nigeria are doing to the students. Okay, Angeline, please.
And just to say from what Florence May was telling, in Myanmar context, the movement was led by the Generation Z, all the youths, men, the boys and girls. And the boys joined to People Defense Force. They became, defending their them for the civilian. And the girls, they became also they even became a woman combatant. And they are also in the movement of non-violence in both sectors because Myanmar has a special case like the defense has no choice, even though we want to be non-violence, we have no choice to defend ourselves. And the youths, they become People Defense Forces. They are leading the movement.
Yes. Okay, any more reactions before we wrap up this very fruitful meeting of minds and hearts of peace activists, peace advocates from different countries.
Yes.
Yes, any more? Anybody
Yes.
still wants to speak before I call our speakers for I will not say final. I'm sure we will hear from them again. We will continue to create venues so that we can meet, no? Because there is no other way. If the media will not give it the venues to us, we will create our venues. Bong, okay lang. Well, let's hear the men's voices. Bong, you want to say something? Bong from
Kathleen
Mindanao.
is raising hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I welcome any other people from the US who might be here. I don't know, is it just me and Andre? But please Google me if you can contact me. I put my email address in the chat earlier. I would welcome contacts. I want to work with other people here who could work on this.
Yeah. We noted that, Kathleen. Bong from Mindanao, you have any messages? Oh, I'll just read your message first. Thank you for inviting us. Myanmar's young generation and so is in Palestine standing are remarkable. Maybe in the coming days, we can have the African context discussion. Yes, Catherine, if she's still here, I know that they're preparing an African women webinar. So we'll keep you posted about the schedule if they finally are able
Mercy,
to push through.
Mercy, just to call your attention that Plangsat is here.
Oh,
She just entered, yes.
thank you very much. But so those who are here, is it okay for us? We might be extending time a little, but at last, Plangsat is able to speak to us. Plangsat, how are you? It's very nice to have you coming in.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry the network here is terrible, and for whatsoever reasons, it's been very difficult to get in touch with people. I had to just look for somewhere completely outside where I am to see if I can be part of it.
Are you able to share the PowerPoint you mentioned? Do you think you can
I
share
tried, it couldn't go, but I can just talk to for a few minutes.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, there's still time. If we're talking of
All
8
right.
o'clock, if people
Okay.
are scheduled until 8 o'clock, then we would be very happy to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So can I go on?
Yes, please.
All right. So thank you very much. Let me just by way of introduction say that the topic is on the voices of women in conflict areas, and then chronicles of vulnerability as well as resilience. I think over time, this topic have been the subject matter of our study. I, in particular, have been working in this area for a while. But I think the recent conflict in Jos created a new dimensions to these issues. And I think it affected even our abilities to communicate, because sometimes we're being told that phone lines are being monitored, etc., etc. But then now, even to communicate and do things becomes a little bit difficult. So permit me to just run through what I have and not being too detailed about some of them. So basically, Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. Over 200 million people living in Africa, yet it has experienced in the past decade some of the most violent conflicts. Hardly is there any region in the country that has not been affected by these conflicts, ranging from religious tensions, religious resource competitions, political grievances, extremist ideologies, activities of Boko Haram, unknown gunmen, ethnic militia, indigenous people of Biafra, a separatist quest, and then actions of bandits are all widespread from the northeast to the south to the northwest. All these regions have large numbers of displaced persons, and also the conflicts are still ongoing. let me just relate it back to my state in particular. In recent times, Nigeria, particularly the Middle Belt, which Plateau State is located, has experienced series of conflicts. I think the first one we have in terms of historical record is from 1994, but since then we have recorded very hostile and deadly conflicts from 2021, 2024, 2008, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2015, and now 2023, 2024. The conflict is still ongoing. And these conflicts have very bad consequences for women and children, particularly when they are displaced from their own farming communities. Most of these people I'm referring to are people who live by farming and they live on their farmland. So when you move them out completely, they have lost their source of livelihood. They don't have anywhere to go to and they cannot survive. So they have to depend on givings, and also they become part of the burdens for government to take care of. And so these fatalities, these displacements have led to a lot of pressure on the resources of the state with escalating food prices. As a matter of fact, just between 2001 and 2015, we've lost over 7,000 lives in Plateau State. These are official records. We are not even counting unofficial records. In 2019 alone, we have about 170,000 individuals displaced. And then in 2020, we have 247,000 people displaced from their farming communities in Plateau State alone. And these statistics are growing and they continue. In short, the recent crisis of 2023, and even the one that is ongoing, we are still trying to mine data and statistics in terms of the impact and also the displaced population. So this has increased the vulnerability of women in these communities. Once they are displaced, they don't have access to health services, their children are no longer going to school, they don't have income, and their health needs are hardly taken care of. So all the social structures of support and network are all broken down under these kinds of situations, exacerbating poverty and also exposing women and girls to exploitation and further marginalization. In the recent interview I had with some of the women affected in the camps, one of them told me that she lost her husband, he was killed, and then now she's in the camp, she's been on medication, her medication is finished, so her health needs are not taken care of, and she sees that the children are not even eating well, and they are not also going to school. So that also puts more pressure on her as she struggles to think of how to survive. She does not even have a farm to go to. And she told me, she said, now I have to take care of my children and I don't even have a farm to survive. So where do I go to? You know, these are some of the narratives you get. In another interview, one of the ladies told me that, okay, we're displaced in 2023, but then recently we tried to go back to the farms to see if we would clear, but it seems as if the conflict is still ongoing. We are so scared to even go back, and nobody is saying anything about it. Our children just look at us to the face and ask us, Mommy, when will this end? These are some of the narratives you hear when you discuss these issues with these displaced women. But then over the years from 2001 till now, women have not relented. They have also worked hard. They relied on civil society organizations and international organizations' commitment to ensure that they do something and not remain in their own conditions without any form of help. So they build a lot of resilience and agency despite the conflicts they face. If you go to the Northeast, for example, we have grassroots women mobilizing. I give you an example of the Borno Women Development Initiative, Baudi. They work together to ensure that they help even women within the displaced communities. And sadly speaking, that recently, if you read the news in Nigeria, you notice that another 200 and something women who went to look for firewood from these IDP camps were also kidnapped on their way to go to look for this firewood. So they are not safe even in the IDP camps. They have no source of livelihood. And then when they try to go out to look for livelihood, they are further exposed to violence. We also have the Women, Peace and Security Network. They also play a pivotal role in promoting women's rights, conflict resolution within communities. These organizations, alongside many civil society organizations, supported the formulation and implementation of what we refer to as the National Action Plan in Nigeria, just to show the resilience of women within this space. For instance, Nigeria launched the National Action Plan in August 2013 to domesticate the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, which was adopted in the country in 2000. It embodies this commitment to ensure that women and girls are systematically integrated into the peace and security network in Nigeria. And then we've seen that through the resilience and actions of women, there's just little successes you can see coming in. I give you an example. From baseline 0 in Plateau State, we now have, for example, about 107 women in as members and advisors in traditional council. That's from baseline 0. Also in another state in northern Nigeria, we have almost 400 women in traditional council, and all these ones were starting from baseline 0. That's to show that women are demonstrating a lot of resilience even amidst the crisis they face. Recently, we also noticed that women are forming what we call the peace agents and peace ambassadors. They try to push the frontiers to ensure that they become members of the community-based dispute resolution mechanisms within their communities. Though we've seen that the challenges still exist because officially the mediators within these communities are traditionally men. And when they are called to represent in official spaces, you're likely to see traditional leaders, household heads, representatives of district constituents who are men, who go there to talk on the impact of conflict and also peace building processes on behalf of women. We also have women working with the legal profession on the legal space to ensure that the justice is being served to displaced women, are also women within communities who are experiencing violence. So through the advocacy of civil society organizations and women, they've created what we refer to as multi-door courts. These courts started actually in Lagos, then it came to Abuja, but recently Plateau State already has a multi-door courthouse where cases of sexual based violence, sexual harassment, exploitations are reported, and then immediately justice can be found. But then we notice something also wrong, because after you report cases and then if you are being chased out of your household, there are no official sexual assault referral centers, which are the SAC centers, except a few run by NGOs, and these ones are overwhelmed. And so when you have a lot of cases of GBV, you don't have spaces to keep them because officially there are no spaces for them. I give you an example. The GBV Central Dashboard in Nigeria recorded about 27,000 cases of gender-based violence in just 1 month. That is for the month of September. That's September to the 3rd of October. And that's very, very high, showing that there's a lot of pressure even in terms of the resources, etc. we put in place. So let me just rush and conclude with just this issue, that the space is still very large. Advocacy and community engagement is still needed because the conflicts are still ongoing. As a matter of fact, it seems as if the efforts that are being put by women have not been amplified enough to ensure that they address some of the critical needs of women that they are still facing. We also need to recognize the fact that these women have tried their best within these conflict-affected areas. They've used their agencies to bring in change, but then officially these parts are not too inclusive enough to ensure that women are included in all peace-building processes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Plangsat. I know there are many questions that people would also like to ask you, but since our time is very short now, maybe Catherine Kaimenyi was here earlier, so maybe Plangsat from Nigeria, Catherine, you can continue to discuss so that we could hold a webinar for African women situation and context. So now I would like to ask our speakers, Rucama, Angeline, and Attorney Virgie, to just give your last message. Sorry to keep it short, 1 minute before we wrap up, our discussion. But we are all saying that this will be not be the last. Okay, you want to start, Dr. Rucama, please?
Okay, thank you, Mercy. One sentence for such a long and bitter and bloody situation, I don't know. But maybe the main thing is to try to stop the American, the USA money and ammunition to Israel, which is maybe not the main, but one of the main sources to fuel this kind of genocide, killing, house demolition, trees raising, and all the rest of awful, horrible things that are done in our region for 5 months and more, and who knows how long it will go on. It's not the only thing to do, but this is very important. Thank you very, very much.
Angeline?
Thank you very much. Women has more than half population of the whole world, I believe, in other countries too, so as in Myanmar. So women movement in a feminist perspective of peace building, stopping the war, involving is very critical roles. You know, we have been suffering a lot, and we have been targeting, and we have been being used as a shield. Let us against it and resilience and resist, and we can, hand in hand, we can help each other. You all can help us morally support, and then financially also, if you can, that let us make our life better and happen to be a good citizenship and leaders well. Thank you so much.
Attorney Virgie?
Yes, okay. Women's rightful place is right in the midst of the struggle. War is claiming down the women. So, I mean, as women, let us claim the world, because that is the only way for humanity to thrive and for the world to have peace. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone. As we close this very fruitful discussions, I would just like to acknowledge and thank our partners, co-organizers, who joined the Peace Women Partners in organizing this event. The International Peace Bureau, Myanmar Women, Peace and Security, Laban Kababaihan or Women Fights of Mindanao, Philippines, Gender Initiative for Change and Social Transformation of Nigeria, Women Resource Network from Bangladesh, Stop the War Coalition, Buklod Women Empowerment from Olongapo, Philippines, and International Institute for Research and Education, Manila. Thank you very much to all. We have announced that the recording of this event shall be shared to the participants. And we have your email addresses. So let us continue. Let us continue to be in touch, because 2 hours is never enough for these very important discussions. And as one of the organizers, let me just thank you all, because I have found kindred spirits, kindred souls who all share the passion for advancing women's rights and welfare. And also, we need to attack the source of all this suffering. And we will do it, we will plan to do it in our next activities. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Thank you, Mercy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Rukama.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.